Hey, it's Captain Matt, Boater Secret Weapon, and today we're talking about the most dangerous boating situations and what to do. So when you're out on the water, it's all fun and games and everybody's having a great time, but remember, some very serious situations can pop up. Number one being the weather, especially if you're in southern Florida, operating at the coast. A pop-up shower, a pop-up squall, it can come up out of nowhere, and it can really make the conditions challenging depending on where you're at. So what do? Well, you know how to handle your boat. You have your VHF radio and you have your emergency plan if things get really, really difficult. If you can make it back to a safe port, great, you do that. If you can bypass the storm by looking at your radar and looking at some of the apps that we talk about in the Confident Coastal Boater, you can do that and you can be safe. Or, hey, this came up on me and I'm in it and it's not safe to go try to find a new spot. Well, point your nose into the worst of it and just be at bare steerage, which is just enough to maintain control of your boat. Keep that bow high and ride that storm out. Get everybody in their life jackets. Call a pon-pon if you need to, and have that radio. Be ready for a SOS call or a Mayday call if you need to do it. But be prepared. Oftentimes they're very quick, 20, 30 minutes and it's by you. But it can be 20, 30 minutes of just sheer panic. So have a game plan. What happens if we get caught out there? And also, try to avoid it completely. So be watching the weather, listening to the WX channel on your VHF radio, looking at the weather forecast for out, watching the horizon, watching the skies around you to see, oh, there, it looks like there's some nastiness over there and it's coming this way. How can we get out of its way? Should we head back home and learn how to make those decisions while you're on the water? Next is boating by yourself. I happen to be doing it right now. Conditions are perfect, but I've got my safety equipment out. I've got my game plan. My wife knows where I'm at, what I'm doing. And so you want to make sure if you're out by yourself that you're just prepared. Maybe wear your life jacket all the time. Always have your safety throw cushion, which mine is right there within reach. And then if you add other factors like cold weather, rough, nasty conditions, cold water, now I need to take it up a level in my safety and my precautions. And maybe that means don't go out at all. Maybe that means I'm wearing my life jacket all the time. I'm wearing my foul weather gear. I've got my throw cushion right next to me. I'm keeping my speed down. Those are the things that you need to do. If you put yourself in those more challenging, more dangerous situations, okay, make sure your skills are up to it, make sure your abilities are up to it, but also just do the little things that make it less likely that you're going to end up in the water, that you're going to end up in a bad situation. Make sure you've got enough fuel, make sure the boat's running right, all of that type of stuff, and make sure you follow the float plan. Let people know this is where I'm at, this is what I'm going to be doing, and this is when I should be home. And if you can text, every time you change position, text and let people know. So that way, if something bad does happen, they know exactly where to go. The next most dangerous, this one that scares me, is a fire on a boat. Hey, I've seen boats go up in flames on the water, and because fiberglass is a petroleum-based product, it goes up in a hurry. It's amazing. Go from small fire to burnt to the waterline in the matter of minutes. And it's very difficult to put a fire out on a boat because that petroleum-based product in the gel coat, even a pontoon, you've got all that fuel in the fuel cell, you've got plywood, you've got upholstery. So what do? Well, you know where your fire extinguisher is at all times. Everybody else on the boat knows where it is. You know how to use it. In our boater boot camp, that's free. You can go to boaterbootcamp.com for newer boaters. We talk about emergency situations and the pass system, the pull the trigger, aim at the base of the fire, squeeze the trigger, and then sweep back and forth until that fire is all the way out. Know how to use it, know where it's at, and make sure your fire extinguisher is in good working condition. It's fully charged in that green section, and you've got enough for the size and the type of boat that you're on. This is one that not enough people talk about, in that know that there could potentially be electrical current in the water, especially around docks, right? In the marina, it's really easy for a wire to get chafed and a wire to make connection to a metal section, and now the entire dock and water around it is electrified. an older dock that maybe they didn't run their wiring through conduit, and somehow that wire is dipping in the water, or a shore power cable is dipping in the water, and now the water around the dock is electrified. What happens when a kid jumps in to go swimming off the dock? Well, everything seizes up and they go straight to the bottom. Now, I don't want to scare anybody, but that's the reality of the boating world, is that it can be dangerous. So what do? Well, one is they make, especially in freshwater, they make this little signaling device that you can put on your home dock that just has some probes around in the water, and then there's a green light that shows that everything's good to go. If there's find any electrical current in the water, they show a red light, and now you don't get in the water until you identify that. We have one at our dock in the Ozarks, and I think it's a great idea. I'll try to put the link down below to the company we have to get that. You don't let your kids swim around at the marina, because you just don't know when a cord has dropped in, or somebody's got an extension cord rigged up somewhere and it got chafed, and now there's electrical current getting in the water. It's very dangerous, and you just don't know until it's too late. And guess what? Once that happens, you can't go in the water to save them, because the same thing's going to happen to you. So just be very aware. And if it's something that you want to get a gauge, and so you can test the water before you get in, not a bad idea. Next, going through rough inlets. Probably the most challenging thing of boating at the coast is going through some of the rough inlets to get out to the open water. Now, one is, make sure your skills are up to the task. Make sure that you've gotten some training. You know how to do it. You know where to put passengers. You don't make a big avoidable fail. We talk about it in our Confident Coastal Boater program on how to do it, but it can be very dangerous to do. So what do? Well, you get trained on it. You practice on a calm day. You don't go out when there's a hurricane offshore and try to go through the inlet the first time. If the conditions look too bad, you go around and you go to a further way to get to where you want to be, even though it's not the fastest. Anytime you go through an inlet, you put your life jackets on, everybody on the boat. It's going to be the most challenging 5-10 minutes, other than putting it in the dock in some situations. So get the skills, get the training, and be safe when you're going through. Know how to read the water, where the waves are and what the white water means. That means, hey, the waves are breaking. I probably want to stay out of that area. Make your plan, know the depths in the area, so you do some research beforehand. You watch where other boaters are going through that are experienced, especially charters that are going out, to keep yourself from making a major dangerous mistake. Next is operator inattention. The most dangerous boating situations, according to the Coast Guard numbers, is the most areas where there's accidents is because of operator inattention. The driver of your boat not paying attention. They're on their phone, getting the next playlist out. They're chit-chatting and not watching the horizon. They're paying attention to their screen and not watching the boating area out beyond them. That is where most accidents happen. So what can you do? Well, as an operator, it's real simple. Pay attention 360 degrees around you at all times. We talk about it in the Boater Bootcamp. Again, it's totally free, boaterbootcamp.com. It's a 3-part video series, probably almost 2 hours worth of content for you, totally free. Check that out if you're newer to boating. But as an operator of the boat, your job is to pay attention, right? Operate at the speeds appropriate for the conditions, your skill level, and your boat, because it is the leading cause of accidents and deaths. And you throw alcohol into the mix, that often is a part of a contributing factor to the inattention. And next is a man overboard. Doesn't matter where it happens, but if somebody falls overboard, it's typically rough conditions or somebody not paying attention. But when you do your Williamson turn or you come around to pick them up, it can be one of the most dangerous pieces of boating, because now you're trying to approach somebody in the water with the boat in gear. If you're not a competent operator and the situation's challenging, it may be better to throw them something with a rope attached and pull them in. One thing that you never ever want to do is have somebody in the back and reverse up to them. Remember, reverse is what you're doing is you're sucking water into the boat, into the propeller. Well, if you get too close and their feet are dangling, it's going to suck their feet right up into that prop. So don't do that. Learn how to get to them safely, throw them a flotation device so that they can float, and now you can buy yourself a little bit of time and then figure out, based on the situation, what's the most appropriate way to get them back into the boat safely. It can be very, very dangerous depending on your area that you're boating in. Hey, you want to have a game plan. This is what happens if somebody goes overboard. We're going to mark them. We're going to throw a throw cushion so we know where they're at. We're going to throw some debris if we're going at speed so we kind of track our path back. We know how to do a Williamson turn. We know how to find our path where we are. We can hit man overboard on the chart plotter. There's a number of things you can do, but have that game plan. So if it does happen to you, you're not overly freaking out. You can stay calm and you can take the right steps. If you got other advice on dangerous boating situations that I missed, put them in the comments. If you found this valuable, give it a thumbs up. Grab that Boater Bootcamp. It's totally free. You'll love it. And remember, life truly is better on a boat.